Matthew chapter 2. And this is why I had asked you, Pastor, what your theme or whatever was going to be for this morning. Matthew chapter 2. It's on the Christmas theme. It's still looking at people, though, okay, as far as characters. The one difference is that most of these people, we have no idea who their names are, what their names are, okay? But they play an extremely important role. I mean, and as I was researching and looking into it and that sort of thing, it's just, I realized how little I truly knew, okay, about these men and about the importance of their role in the Christmas account with Jesus' birth. So we are going to be looking at tonight first the wise men, and then we will reference, and you'll hear a couple of things about King Herod. Now there were, remember, like 3 King Herods. This one is one that was called Herod the Great, but he was also known as Herod the Tyrant. And as we go through tonight, you might understand this other name that I have given him. Okay, you might understand it a little more, but he is truly the real life Grinch that tried to steal Christmas. He really was. So this account here in Matthew chapter 2 of the wise men, we'll read it in just a minute here, okay, took place during that reign of Herod the Great. He was, one reason why he was called Herod the Great, okay, was because he was a great builder, okay? There were quite a few good positives in that sense, bringing in and building aqueducts and all these different things that were a positive thing, okay, for Jerusalem and that area, okay? However, unfortunately, one of the other greats that he was known for was he was also the great murderer, okay? I'll reference that in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and read the account real quick before we go any further. Matthew chapter 2, starting right in verse 1. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. So they said to him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not the least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had secretly called the wise men, determined from them what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search carefully for the young child, and when you have found him, bring back word to me, that I may come and worship him also. When they heard the king, they departed, and behold, the star which they had seen in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Then being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed for their own country another way. Let's go ahead and stop right there for now. We'll read a few more verses a little later on. But so this is a very, very popular account most people know what is considered the Western version of this, okay? Meaning the one that has slowly morphed into, we even have the song in our hymnal, We Three Kings, okay? First of all, these men were not kings, okay? Second of all, we have no idea how many. All we know is that there was more than one, okay? And that is simply, the way that we know that, okay, is it uses the term wise men, okay? It was more than one. Going back in with ancient tradition back in that time, okay, typically the way that these wise men traveled was typically in groups of 12. Okay, so it could have been anywhere from 2 to 12. I mean, that's one way of going off from it. We don't know for certain. The reason being is the reason why we do not know how many there were, it's irrelevant. Okay, how many there were was not important. All that was obviously important enough was that there was more than one. Okay, now these men, like I had mentioned a minute ago, okay, they were not kings. Okay, however, they were king makers as well as dethroners. Okay, these men were extremely important. Okay, essentially, even though a king, okay, could say have them put to death, okay, to a point, these wise men, as we know to pronounce it, I'll use is magi. Okay, these magi were men that had so much influence. Okay, their opinion mattered more in government and to people than the actual king did. And that is why they were known as dethroners, and that they would also, so they were ones that would recognize when there was a new king. They were the ones that typically always had a hand in building up kings as well as taking them down. And these men were also very smart. Okay, that's the most simple way to put it. Okay, these men were very, very smart. And one thing that they were very smart in was astronomy. Now, that is astronomy, not astrology. Okay, astronomy meaning you walk outside, you look up, what do you see? Okay, that is what they were very. That was one of the things they were very well versed in. Okay, in fact, they had the stars and the heavens and the skies mapped out to a point that if we look at science today and we think of these men in the time that they were in, it was a thing of, that's impossible. How did they have them? Obviously, there's something that through history we have lost as far as how they came with their knowledge, how they could map out and see all this stuff and understand what they did with astronomy and such. And so these wise men, okay, like I said, so they mentioned, or they were extremely influential, okay, and it was so King Herod. I'm going to go back to him real quick. King Herod was one who was very paranoid, okay, and that is how he became known as also Herod the Tyrant, or the Great Murderer, okay, is because any time anyone challenged his throne or whispered of a possibility or something, okay, anyone at all involved, or anyone that might be involved in it, he had put to death. Okay? Now, he was not, King Herod was not one that came into the throne, how can I put it? I'll say, I don't know if I want to use the term honestly, but okay, it was by conquering. That is how he became king. Now, he was not Jewish. Okay? He came from the line of Esau. So Jesus, the Jewish people come from Jacob. Okay? He came originally from the line of Esau. And so he was an outsider. And one thing he decided to do is, the Jewish people will accept me if I marry the granddaughter of the high priest. So that's what he did. However, one thing, and that was his second wife, I believe it was. However, he figured, okay, this is going to be great. I am going to marry her. Obviously, this was a marriage where she did not have a say in it because she hated his guts. In fact, she was the one of the ones who was dead set on essentially him losing the throne. Okay, she was in on it, and because of that, okay, he had that wife who he had considered his favorite wife. Okay, he had her murdered. Then he had his mother-in-law murdered. The 3 sons he had by this wife, he had murdered, as well as 46 members